checking in with a quick video for you guys. The gym is empty right now. It's an ugly rainy day outside and I guess people are just staying at home. So this is just a video about why am I cutting and when should you cut if you feel necessary. Well, the reason I'm cutting is because I've been bulking for a long time. Pretty much as long as I've had the channel, as long as I've been on BFEDS, I've been bulking. I guess since August of 2012, I had been bulking. As soon as I left the soccer team and started pursuing bodybuilding, I immediately, boom, I went right into bodybuilding and right into bulking. And while that might seem like a super long bulk, which it was, I do think that's necessary. It's interesting, sometimes you see people and they wonder why they don't get results, and it's because they only remain in a caloric surplus for such a short period of time because, they're afraid of putting on too much weight or kind of digging themselves in a hole, which is completely understandable. But I feel personally, if you want to see appreciable results in muscle building, mass building, a bulk should be no less than 6 months. I mean, it is a process, guys. It's a sacrifice, and it's true that you will put on a little bit of body fat. Now, there are things you can do to not put on too much body fat. You could do more of a clean or a lean bulk by staying away from, junk foods and fast food and all that kind of stuff. But I really do think that a bulk needs to be at least 6 months. And don't do a perma bulk either. A perma bulk also being a permanent bulk. Be sure to at least enter a maintenance stage from time to time to prevent yourself from, really digging yourself into a hole of being too overweight. Or do what I did. That whole, almost 2 years or whatever that I was bulking, I did 2, I think, mini cuts. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, I did a month and a half mini cut before my sister's wedding. And I did another really short one at some point too, just to kind of bring it down a little bit and go back and right into a bulking stage. And I guess that's really all to say about that. Make sure your bulks are long enough to get good results. And cutting. So why am I doing it? Like I said, I've been bulking for a long time, and I think there comes a point where you have to realize that being in a surplus is no longer helpful. I guess that you're not really making this almost linear progression in strength gains and mass or muscle gains. At some point, you kind of just start to get fat, to be completely honest with you, or your caloric surplus, starts to kind of inhibit your performance, whether it's cardiovascular performance or just any type of performance in the gym. Whenever it gets to that point, you might need to take a step back and say, hey, it's time to cut. And also, I think that people sometimes forget that you can maintain, bodybuilding or fitness doesn't have to be a constant flux of bulking or cutting. You can just completely maintain if you're happy with your physique and you've gotten to where you want to. Just eat at maintenance calories and lift like you normally would. But I do think that everyone should cut at least once in their career, especially if you're into bodybuilding, because you want to see what you've done. I mean, this isn't art, really. And, it's your body is the sculpture. And, for someone like me who's carrying a little bit of body fat, I would like to shed that body fat and see what I've done. So I can look in the mirror, and not just for aesthetic purposes or saying, hey, I look good, but to say hey, now that I've cut off some body fat, I can see what parts I need to work on. Because when my body fat is high, my shoulders look good. My quads look good, my, whatever looks good. But when I cut that body fat, I'm actually going to see my body in its true proportions. And I can say, whoa, this and that needs to be brought up. So that's one of the main reasons I'm cutting. And should you cut? That's the next thing. Should you cut? And I actually watched, this is a pretty common topic you see with fitness YouTube channels, should I cut? And I think one of the best answers I've ever seen was if you have to ask, it's time. And it's so simple, and it's a very general statement that has to be taken with a grain of salt, but it's kind of true. I mean, if you're looking in the mirror, if it's been at least 6 months and you're looking in the mirror and you're saying, ooh, it's time to bring it down, then do it. If you have to ask, if your body fat is becoming something that's bothering you, or if eating in a surplus is becoming too much of a chore and it's no longer fun, then your answer's right there. Then it's time to cut. If you've never cut before and you've been at bodybuilding or fitness for a while, it might be time to cut just to see where you are. And that's what I'm doing right now, guys. So keep following my journey, and that's just my 2 cents on why I'm cutting and why or when you should as well. So stay tuned for more videos, guys, about my summer shredding series, and I'll be keeping you posted.